All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're tackling something pretty wild. How do you take a feeling, a vibe, and turn it into an actual physical product you can hold in your hand? It's this amazing journey from pure emotion to a real, tangible thing.
I mean, just look around you. Think about your favorite pair of headphones, or your car, or even the coffee mug you're using. That perfect curve, that exact shade of blue, none of that was an accident. It was all designed. But how in the world does a designer start with a simple word, like comfort, and end up with that thing you're holding?
Well, that's pretty much the magic trick of product design, right? It's all about this creative process of taking these abstract ideas, words like sleek, rugged, or playful, and somehow translating them into the actual shape, color, and texture of a real-world object. And for like decades, the number one tool to get this whole process started has been the mood board. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's just a collage of images, textures, and colors that a designer pulls together to kind of set the visual tone and get inspired. It's just a bunch of pictures all trying to scream one single feeling. Okay, but here's the twist. This tool that everyone trusts, this foundational part of the process, it's actually a huge creative bottleneck. So let's dig into why the good old mood board is, frankly, a pretty flawed way to start designing something. So the big problem with mood boarding the old-fashioned way is that it's just incredibly inefficient. I mean, a designer can spend days, sometimes even weeks, just hunting for the right images. And the final board? It's super subjective. It completely depends on that one person's taste and experience. And on top of the brain drain from staring at a 2D screen all day, the most important part, how they actually make that leap from a collage to a real idea, that whole step is basically a complete mystery. It's a total black box. And this right here really shows the disconnect. Think about it. Designers are spending most of their time doing all this tedious manual stuff, searching, downloading, sorting, arranging. But what they want to be doing, the reason they got into design, is the deep, creative work. Reflecting on images, finding those hidden patterns, and extracting those game-changing ideas. All the busy work is literally getting in the way of the real work. So, okay, how do we fix this? Well, the answer, believe it or not, comes from a totally different field, cognitive psychology. It turns out the key to unlocking a way better process has everything to do with the science of where we look. This is the big aha moment. This is the scientific insight that changes everything. Researchers have actually proven there's a super strong link between how long you look at something and how much you like it. Basically, whatever you stare at the longest is a really good sign of what you subconsciously prefer. Your eyes are spilling your creative secrets before your conscious brain even knows what's happening. And that is the key. So, taking that incredible insight, a whole new system was built. It's time to say goodbye to the flat, boring mood board and step into something called the Moodspace. And it's all powered by a system called EUPHORIA. So what is a Moodspace? Well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Forget the flat screen. Instead, picture this. You're in an immersive VR world, and you are literally surrounded by a floating constellation of hundreds of images. It's not like looking at a mood board, it's like standing inside of one. And this here gives you a great bird's eye view of the whole EUPHORIA system. You can see the whole journey, from this huge cloud of images, all the way to a final data-driven result. So let's break down exactly how this whole thing works, step by step.
All right, so check out this workflow. First, the designer just puts on a headset and gets dropped into this VR gallery. Now here's the magic part. Instead of them having to manually click and select images, the system uses eye tracking to automatically see which images they're looking at the longest. Then, and this is so cool, the system creates a brand new refined mood space with only those preferred images. The designer can just chill and reflect on this new, curated collection. And to top it off, the system generates heat maps that show exactly where their eyes were focused on each image. That whole black box mystery? Poof, gone. It's totally transparent.
Okay, so we've captured subconscious preference. That's amazing, right? But that's really only half the battle. Now we've got to somehow turn all that raw attention data into an actual product design. And that is where the second piece of the puzzle, an AI called Retina, comes into play. And yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You've got a bunch of images a person subconsciously likes. You've got heat maps showing where they looked. How on earth do you make the jump from that to a totally new original product? Well, the simple approach just doesn't work.
If you try to just dump all this data into a standard, single-minded AI, it completely fails. You can see it right here. It doesn't get the shapes, it doesn't get the textures, it just kind of shrink wraps the inspiration images onto a generic product shape, like wallpaper. That's not design, that's just texturing. So the real solution is way more sophisticated. It's something called an Agentic AI framework named RETINA. Now, don't think of it as just one AI. Instead, think of it like a highly skilled creative team. A team of specialized AI agents, where each one has a very specific job to do, and they all work together to basically mimic how a human designer thinks.
So let's meet this AI team. First up, you've got the perception agent. Its job is to look at all those heat maps and pull out the key visual elements, the main shapes, the colors, the textures. Next, the reasoning agent takes all that info, analyzes it, and writes up a detailed text description, almost like a creative brief that captures the vibe. And finally, the action agent takes that brief and starts generating brand new product designs, completely from scratch. And check this out, this is the first thing it spits out. The action agent is smart, it doesn't just jump to a final design. Nope, first it generates a whole series of concept sketches, just exploring all the different ways it could interpret that design brief, playing around with different shapes and forms. And then, once the form is locked in, it moves to the final stage, creating these absolutely stunning photorealistic renderings. It adds in the specific colors, textures, and materials that it pulled from those original inspiration images and just brings the whole concept to life. The entire journey, from a simple, subconscious glance to a fully realized product concept, is complete. Just like that. So let's take a step back. What does all this actually mean for the future of design? Because we're not just talking about a cool new tool here. This is a fundamental shift in the creative process itself. It's a whole new kind of partnership between a human designer and an AI. This table just lays it all out so perfectly. The before and the after. Just look at that transformation. Every single stage that used to be manual, subjective, and painfully slow is now automated, data-driven, and basically instantaneous. Selecting images goes from endless clicking to just looking. That internal black box of reflection, it's now explicit, shareable heat maps. And sketching, which could take hours, it's now generated instantly by an AI. This is a complete reinvention of the entire workflow. And this is a really important point to make. This is not about replacing human designers, not at all. It's about creating the ultimate creative co-pilot. By taking all the boring, tedious, logistical work off their plate, it frees up the designer to focus on what humans do best, the high-level creative thinking, the strategy, and steering the overall vision. So this leaves us with a pretty massive question. We've just seen how this can completely revolutionize product design. But think about it. If our tools can now read our subconscious preferences just by watching our eyes, what other creative fields are about to be totally transformed? I mean, architecture, filmmaking, composing music? The possibilities are, honestly, pretty mind-bending.